Well, hi everyone and welcome back. It's winter here in the UK now, and typically speaking I don't like to do videos outside this time of year. This morning the temperature was around 28 degrees I think, and there's a really hard frost everywhere, but that seems to have gone now. And this particular video I'm hoping is just going to be a quick one, so it was a chance to jump outside and get this video done. Now today's video has been requested by Jamie from Australia, and what he would like to know is how to get the plastic trim out from along the top of the windshield. Now on the face of it, this seems like a relatively simple job, and technically speaking it should be. But as always, you've got to remember these cars are now 30 years old and there is a number of possible complications. The first one is the trim itself has now become hard and brittle. That makes the job much harder, especially when you consider that the trim, if you look on the end, is a H section. And when they fit the glass, the trim would have gone onto the glass first, hooking underneath the glass quite tightly. Then they will fit the shield in and push it up to the bodywork. This makes it very hard to get out. If you try to pull it up, the plastic is too hard and all you're going to do is break the glass as you try yanking it out. The next possible problem you're going to come up with is the windshield the original factory fitted windshield? If it is, that's going to make the job much easier, because when they put the polyurethane sealant around the glass, it's done in a nice neat bead about 1 centimetre in from the edge, and that means it doesn't actually touch this plastic trim, which is purely cosmetic and doesn't need to be bonded. If your screen is a replacement screen, if it was fitted by a really good quality professional, they would have put on a bead pretty much the same as the factory bead. But many of them are being fitted by people that don't take the time to do the job properly, and they just use a handgun, dollop loads and loads of sealant around the screen, which of course will hold the screen in really well, but it spreads out the side. And in a second we're going to look at the car that we're going to be doing this job on, and you will see that there is urethane sealant pouring out everywhere from the sides, and that means it has gone over onto the trim and pretty much fused the trim into the bodywork of the car and onto the glass, making it really difficult to get it out. Now we can still do this job, and we're going to do it on that car over there in a second. But I wanted to explain the difficulty and the possible pitfalls that you're going to have if you need to remove this trim. So why would you want to remove the trim in the first place? There's a couple of reasons. First of all, if you're like me and you're doing any spray work on your car, you're going to want to do the job as neatly and as professionally as possible. That means instead of using masking tape and masking over the trim, which will then lead to overspray unless you've done it really well, you're going to need to get that trim out to spray properly, and that is really well worth doing if you want to hold the value of your car. The second thing is, if your glass has been broken, you're going to need to get that trim out in order to cut the old glass out. So there are reasons you're going to want to take that out. I've also seen on a number of these now the plastic is starting to shrink back and you're getting a gap down the side, which doesn't really matter as far as any bodywork protection goes. It is only cosmetic. But if you want it to look good, you're going to need to remove that trim as well. So those are the reasons to remove it. You've seen how it's fitted. We've now got to look at getting it out. Now I'm going to have a hell of a job on this white car in a second trying to get it out. As I said, the urethane is spread out everywhere. The chances of me getting that out undamaged are all but zero, and that will also apply to you. But there are certain techniques that we can use to reduce the risk of getting that out without damage, especially if it is the original screen. There is a 99.9% chance you're going to get that out completely undamaged and be able to reuse it. So with that in mind, let's now have a quick look at the tools. Hopefully this is only going to be a quick job with minimal tools. So let's have a look at those. So just a couple of quick simple tools. First of all, a Phillips screwdriver. you're going to need to use this to remove the plastic, the plastic trim from around the top of the side window, and which goes down the side of the windshield. Just a simple Phillips screwdriver. Now, we're not actually going to be doing that job on video today because it has been done in a previous video. We're purely looking at removing the plastic trim from the top of the glass, but you will need that to get the other piece of trim off. Then you're going to need a selection of hooking tools. In a perfect world, you'd be using a hard plastic tool, but not all of the tools on the market are suitable for this job. So we're going to be playing around a little bit today, purely because this one has been welded in with polyurethane and is going to be difficult to get out. We'll start with plastic. If we don't have any luck, then we'll try a few of the metal trim tools to try and yank it out. I'm sure it will come out with a bit of work and a little bit of caution. And the final thing, a hot air gun, especially if you're in a cold climate. Today it's absolutely freezing here, so we're going to need to heat up the plastic to make it nice and soft. The softer we get it, the more chance of getting it out without damage. Even if you're in a hot climate, which will make the job much easier anyway, still use a hot air gun to get it to the highest temperature you can without doing any damage. So that's the tools, nice and simple. Let's go and tackle the nightmare of a job on this car. Now, I bought this car off Michelle from the forum. It's one of her old cars that she sadly had a crash in, and it's done a lot of damage underneath, so the car's now a write-off, and I'm going to use this car for this demonstration. It also has a broken screen anyway, so if anything goes wrong, it's not going to cost me too much money. Now, this piece of plastic trim up the side here needs to be removed, and as I said, this was covered in another video, so I'm not going to spend video time today in showing you how to remove that. I've already taken out the screws and we've got that off. Now, this is what I spoke about with the urethane sealant, where someone has just gobbed in loads and loads and loads of it. It's all poured out from under the glass. The glass has also been pressed down too tight into the bodywork, but that's not going to affect the job we're doing today. But just as it has spread out the side there, it's also going to have spread out up underneath the plastic trim here, which is really, really hard to remove. It's absolutely rock solid. So we're going to have a go today to see if we can bring it out. Now, to get rid of that hard brittleness, we're going to use a hot air gun, just on its minimum setting. And we're going to take a time to just gently work back and forth. You cannot rush this job. Actually, before I start that, I just brought out a toothbrush. We'll just clean away some of this muck, just to save it all blowing in my eyes. Let's try again. Now, the heat, as long as you keep a reasonable distance and keep on moving it, is not going to affect your paint or the glass or the plastic in any detrimental way. Just take your time. I'm just hoping this will come out today. I'm not very hopeful, and I certainly expect to damage the piece of plastic. But let's see what we can do. Now, you want to get that to a temperature where you can barely touch it, but can still touch it if you need to. Okay, that's getting pretty hot now. So now I'm going to start by using the plastic tool and see if it will allow us to get under there. Remember, it hooked under the glass, so we want to try and pull it out from under the glass. You can see it's got really, really supple now. It's hot. Now, it might be too hot for the plastic trim tool. Now, if you're going to move on to a metal tool, you must not lever under the glass because you're going to snap your glass. So you want to go down the side and then pull away from the glass, watching your paint work. Just gently, gently lever it. It's entirely being held by the polyurethane now. Let's see if we can pull that away bit by bit, nice and slowly. Yeah, that's a very, very thin foil. It's not going to harm it at all.
I was more about putting your thumb through it. I see this popping.
This is not going to come out in one piece, but we should still be able to get it out if we get it to the right temperature. Okay, now we know that it's damaged anyway. We can go a little bit more ruthless with it and try and pull it out a bit with a little less caution.
It's definitely glued in, isn't it?
It's well and truly glued in.
Yeah, the glue's separating, not tearing apart, so to say.
Yeah, it's completely spread out everywhere. Oh, that takes some strength. I would rather be in Australia right now. Lucky old Jamie, he gets to do it in the sunshine. And of course you guys in the hot climates, you probably won't have anywhere near this trouble. But certainly if there's no polyurethane been filled into there, it will come out relatively easy. Okay, we'll go round to the other side for the final bit.
Glue being pulled out with that.
Yeah. There we go. So I've probably taken out 10 or 15 of these over the years, and I've never had one yet that I couldn't reuse. This particular one just had so much polyurethane gobbed underneath it. There was no way of getting this out without damaging the piece of trim. But this is a $10, $20 piece of trim. It's nothing in the big scheme of things. And getting it out successfully without any damage to the car is the most important thing. Now, that is the only way I know of getting these out. And as I say, I've never had one damaged before, but this particular one I had no choice. Hopefully you won't have the same problems. So for now, Jamie, thanks for requesting this video. I hope it answers your questions and allows you to do the job properly on your car. I want to say a thank you to the watchers and subscribers of this channel. I hope you're enjoying the videos so far. There's plenty more to come. And a really big thank you to the patron people who are sending me a little bit of money each month to help cover some of the costs towards making these videos. As you can see, quite often parts get written off. A lot of work goes into these videos, and anything anyone wants to contribute is very much appreciated. So for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video or hear from you on the forum. Thank you.